What is up, everybody? It is Ace back with another NA regional bracket prediction, and we're going to be predicting the third regional of this split, the last regional of this split for NA. So let's jump right into it. G2 versus Randoms. I'm very excited for Randoms. You know, they're back in the main event. First time they're in the main event this whole split. I'm pretty sure I don't think they've been in it since the winter split, and I think they made day 2. Pretty sure they made day 2 that time that they made main event. I think they lost to NRG, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm really happy for them. You know, I really like their roster a lot. I like 2-Piece a lot, and I like Chronic a lot. And Knight's pretty solid, so I'm excited to see them back in the main event. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it is G2 that they're going against. So you can't really say the Randoms are going to win. You know, it's G2. So, Ghost versus Rogue. This is an exciting matchup. 2 close qualifier teams. I'm going to say Rogue wins this in 5. FaZe versus PK. I like both these teams. I like PK a lot, but, you know, FaZe is FaZe. I don't think there's much reasoning needed for that prediction. NRG versus A-Crew. I'm going to go ahead and say NRG sweep. You know, usually they have the first match jitters, but, you know, I think NRG, if they want to make London, they need to be laser focused this regional. So I'm going to say NRG brings their best fight. SSG versus Shopify. I don't know if I want to say SSG wins in 4 or they sweep, just because Shopify hasn't made it all split. I'm going to go ahead and say SSG sweeps. Especially after last regional, they didn't perform that well, SSG, so they need to perform well in order to make the major. So I think they'll sweep Shopify. Complexity versus Sonics. I think this will be another sweep. I like Complexity a lot. I like the roster a lot, and you know, they just need to start getting things going. And Sonics, I don't really see too much of a, you know, I don't really see too much firepower from them to make me believe that they have really much of a chance. V1 versus Stromboli. I'm going to say V1 wins that in 4. V1's just the better team. Envy versus Oxygen. This is tricky. I know Envy made top 3. I think they got 3rd last regional, but I don't know. I'm not too sold on Envy just yet. They didn't beat that many good teams last regional, but I'm gonna say they beat Oxygen in 5. Just respect to Envy. It could go either way. Oxygen, you know, if LJ's popping off, then Oxygen has a really good chance of winning the series. But I'm gonna say Envy takes that one. Randoms versus Ghost. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to Randoms. I'm gonna say Randoms win it in 4, and just watch out. Keep watching the video. I'm high on the Randoms, so you'll see. You'll just see. Just watch. PK versus A-Crew. I'm going to go ahead and give that a PK in 5. A-Crew's a pretty solid team. Probably one of the best teams from the close qualifiers, other than a select few. But I'm going to say PK wins that. Shopify versus Sonics. I think Sonics will win that in 4. Shopify, I like their team. You know, their new guy Jordan from Torrent. He's solid. The other guys are solid too, but you know, they haven't made main event all split, and Sonics made it, and they went decently far. I think they made it to lower round 3, if I'm not mistaken, last split. But yeah, Sonics have just been together longer. They have more experience. Oxygen versus Stromboli. Give me Oxygen in 4. I don't see much of a chance. I don't think Stromboli has much of a chance. In my opinion, Oxygen is very, very, very solid. We'll go ahead and go up to these upper quarters. G2 versus Rogue. I'm going to have to give that to G2 in 4. I think last time these two played, it went in 4, so I'll go 4 again. Again, not much analysis needed there. G2 is G2. FaZe versus NRG. I think NRG wins that in, I'm going to say 4 actually, not in 5. I'm going to say 4. NRG has had FaZe's number for a while now, and NRG needs this more than FaZe does. So NRG, with, you know, when they need it, when their back's against the wall, you know, they perform way better. So I'm going to go ahead and pick NRG there in 4. SSG versus Complexity. Always love watching this series. And I'm going to give this one to SSG. I'm going to say they win it. I'm going to say that goes to 5. I think we saw these teams, they played like twice against each other last week in the Gamers Without Borders tournament. And Complexity put up a solid fight in the first series, I think. And I think Complexity can take it number 5. V1 versus Envy. I'm going to go ahead and take V1 in that. No questions asked. I think they'll win it in 4. I think V1 is miles ahead of Envy, actually. They're in 2 different tiers, and V1 is in a better tier. I think V1 is a great team. So, let's get into these lower round 2s. As I said before, high on randoms. And I'm going to go for the upset here. I think randoms will beat Envy in 5. Envy, like I said before, I really like Envy. I really like Drees a lot. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Illusion's been good this split ever since, Turbo got benched, and Miss is just one of the greatest players in NA, maybe the whole world. But they got 3rd last regional, and they didn't beat that many good teams. When they played good teams, they got crushed. So I don't know. I think Envy is hit or miss. They could be they're really solid, or they could just get 9 through 12th. And I think at randoms, when they play with the, I don't know how to explain it, but when they have nothing to lose here, they have no pressure on them. Envy has a lot of pressure on them, especially following that they got 3rd, and they want to secure their spot in London, so they have a lot of pressure on them. Randoms have no pressure at all, so that's a huge key for randoms. And I think when they have no pressure at all, that they do well. Last time we saw them in the main event, they made it to day 2, and they had no pressure on them at all. So I think randoms, if they're peaking, especially Chronic and 2-piece, if they're peaking, then I definitely could see randoms beating Envy, without a doubt. Complexity versus PK, I'll give that to Complexity in 4. Complexity is just a very solid team. They usually don't lose to these 9 through 16 teams. So I'll give Complexity that dub there. FaZe versus Sonics, I think FaZe sweeps that. No questions asked. And Rogue versus Oxygen, this is always a good series. I'm gonna say Oxygen takes that in 5. I want to pick Rogue. I really like Rogue. I really like Aqua. He's definitely one of my top 3 to 5 favorite players in the whole world. But I don't know. Last time we saw Oxygen play Rogue, I think Oxygen swept them just a few days ago. So going off that, I think I'm gonna pick Oxygen in 5. Last time we saw them play in RLCS, Rogue beat them in 5. I'll say Oxygen beats them in 5 this time. Randoms versus Complexity. Whew. I'm going to go ahead and say Complexity takes that in 5. I think it'll be very close. I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Complexity just because I really like Complexity. And, they've proven that, they're decently consistent. Sometimes, everybody's inconsistent a little bit, but they usually beat those 9 to 16 teams. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, I would have picked randoms. But I'll give Complexity the benefit of the doubt there. FaZe versus Oxygen. I think FaZe takes that in 4. FaZe, just the firepower that they have is insane. So can't really go against that. G2 versus NRG. Give me G2 in 4, or in 6, sorry. Give me G2 in 6, G2 is just G2, really. All these G2 games, no analysis needed, it's G2. We've seen them play their level of play these last 2 splits, last 2 regionals, and we've seen their level of play at the major. They won the major, so we know what they're about. SSG versus V1. Go ahead and give me V1 in 7. I think it'll go 7 games, but I'll take V1 in that for sure. NRG versus Complexity. I'll take NRG in 6. NRG, they beat Complexity. I don't remember the last time Complexity beat NRG, to be completely honest. And NRG needs it. They need it more than probably anybody else. So go ahead and give me NRG. FaZe versus SSG, always a good series. I think FaZe wins that I'll say 6 games. 3 winning it in 7 is kind of generic, so I'll say FaZe wins that in 6 games. SSG, it's always 50-50 though. It could go either way. I just think FaZe will win that one. G2 versus V1. Go ahead and give me G2. I'll say G2 wins that in 5. I think G2 is just unmatched. NRG versus FaZe. We saw it before. I'll say it again. NRG wins that. I think FaZe will take it to 7. I think going off of this L, I think they'll clean up a little bit of things that they obviously would do wrong in this series, but I think at the end of the day, NRG is a better team. NRG versus V1. Last time we saw this, V1 won. Go ahead and give me NRG in 7. I think NRG. It's really 50-50 at the end of the day with these big games. NRG versus FaZe, NRG versus V1. It's really 50-50. But I think NRG will clutch up, and I think they can definitely make it to the grand final. And go ahead and give me G2 and 7. I don't think there will be a bracket reset, but NRG will be very happy. They'll definitely take 2nd place in this tournament, and I think G2 they'll go for the clean 3-0 in these all these regionals. So I'm pretty excited to see what this bracket would mean. So G2 obviously first, NRG 2nd. All these are justifiable, really. You can't argue against any of these picks. Random 7th to 8th, you can kind of make a case for they'll probably get 13th to 16th, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm high on randoms. And Envy getting 9th through 12th is kind of a hot take, but I just think randoms can beat them for sure. So let's go ahead and check this out. So based off these picks, we would see G2 making the major, obviously coming in as 1st seed, V1 at the 2nd seed, NRG at the 3rd seed. They'd be tied in points with FaZe, but they have the tiebreaker. So they'd actually be 3rd seed based off this performance. FaZe would be 4th and SSG would be 5th. And Envy would actually miss out by 50 points because of randoms. So that's intriguing to see because let's say they were to beat the randoms, they would get 50 points. And then they'd play complexity and they could win that. But let's just say they didn't, but they did beat randoms. They'd be tied with SSG. But I think SSG would have the tiebreaker. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think Envy will miss out barely, which would kind of be a big surprise considering they got 3rd last regional. But I just think randoms can really beat them. You know, if they're peaking and they have no pressure on them, they can definitely beat Envy. But I guess we'll have to see. I think this is the exact same 5 teams that made the major last regional, or last split, sorry, winter major. So, I mean, it's not too far-fetched. But, yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. I'm excited for this regional. Very, very excited. You know, it's the last one. We get to see who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. So, it's always exciting for that last 3rd regional. And yeah, comment down below if you guys think any of my takes are absolutely absurd. Go ahead and send me hate for the randoms take, or go ahead and comment if you agree with me. I'm interested to see what you guys think. I think this is pretty good chance of playing out to be true. And I think NRG, I think the main story is NRG makes the regional, obviously, or makes the major. That's a huge storyline playing out in this bracket that I've made. Envy missing out would be huge too. So we'll see what happens Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And other than that, peace.